Hi, on behalf of HDR, I would like to thank both Kiowa and the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for this opportunity to fulfill the Greenup-Boyd County Freight Plan. I'm Dan Hake with HDR. I'm the project manager for this project. From a project overview standpoint, the overall purpose of the study is to develop a comprehensive understanding and profile of the existing freight network in Greenup-Boyd counties, with really the goal to support decision makers with funding and investment decisions to address freight planning needs. Overall, we're going to work to identify freight route networks and freight corridors to ensure multimodal connectivity throughout the region. Of course, this project will build upon past freight planning activities, in particular the state freight plans in the three states, the Kiowa congestion mitigation process, the KYTC highway information system, and outreach to industries to better understand freight demand and really supplement our data results with real world examples. Administratively, the deadline for this project is the end of September of 2021, and the contracts administratively done through the cabinet using Kiowa MPO PL funds. Take a few minutes to talk about the scope of work. Overall, there are 8 tasks. The first is driving the freight conversation, where we're going to talk about goals and performance measures. Item number 2 is the freight system profile. A look at how the freight network is actually functioning today. Stakeholder engagement. As I mentioned, stakeholder engagement is going to be important to supplement and validate the data results from task 2. We're going to look at freight-driven economic development, so making sure that this plan lives on and helps the region function in a better way to improve economic development. We'll have a steering committee throughout the project, and then we'll start looking at planning for uncertain futures. So, what is connected vehicles, using some scenario planning techniques to look at the uncertainty of the future. And then the final task of the work will be a SWOT analysis to bring it all together. And then our last task is called opportunities to improve freight mobility. And this is really looking at the prioritization of freight programs, projects, and policies that Kiowa and their partners could implement. Today, though, I'm going to focus on these first 4 tasks. These are the things that are going to be undertaken in the first, 1 to 6 months of the project. So, I want to discuss these at some more length. Task 1, driving the freight conversation. Is developing freight objectives and performance measures. These objectives would align with the Kiowa Metropolitan Transportation Plan. So during the next update, these freight objectives could be used to inform that process. And then you can't manage what you can't measure, so we're looking at ways to measure those freight objectives. And then we'll also look at the current Kiowa CMP to see if there's any ways to supplement their, honestly, really great work, to supplement it with more freight information, more freight analysis. There's 2 deliverables. Chapter 1 of the plan, which is going to be focused on objectives and performance measures, and then a technical memo looking at the CMP. Task 2 is the freight system profile, where we'll define a Kiowa multimodal freight network. We'll look at an existing conditions analysis and a freight profile ultimately, looking at the modes and how they connect. Deliverables for task 2 are a freight system profile and 6 1 to 2 pagers. Obviously, an existing conditions report can be quite long, so we want to make sure that we're delivering both technical expertise on the project, but in a way that an everyday user can understand and can use it. And then we want to make sure that all of our GIS files get transferred to Kiowa so they can use it in future products. Overall for the freight profile task, we're going to be looking at, existing freight networks both on the national, state, and local level, and then looking at existing conditions in terms of crashes and delay and reliability issues and state of good repair, truck parking, and some other items. Task 3, stakeholder outreach. We originally had planned to do a listening session and 5 interviews, but with COVID-19, we've obviously had to adapt our approach somewhat, and we're developing a communications plan to look at ways of doing that virtually. We've actually, in some other projects, had some really positive results on doing freight stakeholder outreach virtually. We've been getting 2 to 3 times as many participants, so it may actually end up being a positive thing for us to look at virtual engagement. So deliverables for this project or for this task, communications plan, those outreach activities, and then summaries for task 4, developing new opportunities. So we're looking at both underused industrial sites and potential large site redevelopment, and what does it mean from a transportation perspective. So if you're a site selector, what are you looking for in transportation, and how does the current system align? And then also we're looking at there's been an idea out there for a potential short line railroad, and we're going to look at the history of that process and take a quick look at the potential impacts of that. So deliverables, chapter 3, and then again, some 1 to 2 pagers, looking at making sure that things are digestible and shareable, and that this products or these 1 or 2 pagers live on beyond the freight plan and can be used by other agencies when they're talking about specific projects. So if you're an economic development director trying to sell a large site, you can pull out this 1 pager on transportation and be able to use it. Next steps. We're currently working to complete task 1, which is the objectives and performance measures. We've delivered a first draft at the end of June, and we're working towards a review by the steering committee. Data gathering for the freight profile has begun. We're hoping to complete that by August 31st, and we're developing a communications plan as well.